of Parliament for Mwingi Central. At the center, I have James Mamboleo. He is an advocate, the legal minds on the panel, and Mark Buchachi is very closer to me. He's a political analyst. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to have you here with us this morning. The Standard newspaper this morning, demolitions on grabbed airport land set to start. We have 9 days until the period before the inaugural flight from JKA to New York, and 220 acres. That's the size of land the Kenya Airports Authority wants to reclaim. And 50 is the number of warehouses that will be pulled down within 10 days. And that specific story can be found on page 6 of the newspaper this morning. Gentlemen, I have to ask, and perhaps I'll begin with Mheshimiwa on this specific story. If you look at what's happening right now with the demolitions, we saw a lot of these buildings come down, Nakumatt UK, Taj Mall, a lot of them, the Southern Mall in Langata. Right now in question is the Western Hotel owned by the DP along Langata Road. But his lawyer, Ahmed Nasir, who has come out and said, but my client has the proper documentation, leads me to then ask the next question. Didn't all these other people whose assets have come down not have, again, the right documentation? So is Sunny being selective on what buildings to bring down?
First and foremost, I don't believe in demolition. Because I am an investor in this country. And before I put my money, I follow the due process. The big question would be, what is the legal document in Kenya? Then somebody will come and demolish you tomorrow and they say you are not a Kenyan. You will be demolished tomorrow and you are told you are not Kenyan. What do I mean? Before an investor puts in their money, they go through a due process. There is no building which stands without, number one, being given a title deed. Mm-hmm. That title deed comes from the government office. Mm-hmm. Which government? Ugandan government or Kenyan government? What we need to re-audit is how are we issuing title deeds to the people of either Kenya or any other investor who want to invest in Kenya. That's number one. Number two, before that building goes up, the town planner is there. They have seen it. Before that building goes up, NEMA has seen it. So these people, they have acquired all the documentation. I don't care whether you have acquired them illegally or, using your corruption means or not. The moment you get that certificate, for you to come and revoke it is a different story.
Right.
Right? So I don't believe in demolition. I believe in doing things in the right way. If a land is a road reserve, why, for God's sake, issue a title deed? And before I go to the developer, I will go to the person who issued that title deed. So
let's say now a lot of these have already been built. Then what solution would you table if you're not for demolition?
I think, to me, take for example, UK, Nakumatt UK. It's been there since when? It's been there since when? Is it today we are waking up and saying this building is on a road reserve? Did we compensate the owner? Did the owner recover his investment? Then we are crying we are poor? That is the question we are asking ourselves. What kind of investment are we wasting in demolition? I don't believe in it. Sorry, I'm not waiting to, but other means need to be followed. Why are we getting permissions? Because the same, there's no Kenyatta's government and the Moi's government and the Uhuru's government. They are all the same. It's a government, it's a government. And the moment you own a title deed, it is your valid document. You get it from the government. Unless now we are told this country, tomorrow somebody will come and reclaim it and they say it is Somali. Mm-hmm. That is when we will wake up and understand the meaning of demolition. But today we are putting a lot of politics because I don't like my good lawyer here. I'll say he has built in a riparian land and he must quit. Ask yourself, why did you give him that permission to build?
All right, so Mamboleo, do you think that the law is being selective?
Not at all. This is where I want to create broad daylight between myself and my good friend John Mutambo here. There is a constitution, a social contract that we have given unto ourselves. Article 62 categorizes land into public land, private land, and community land. Now, there is a National Land Act, a National Land Commission Act, which establishes the National Land Commission, which was tasked with the responsibility of reviewing all parcels of land with very clear intentions. The first one being to identify any land which was public land, which was alienated in a wrong manner, all right? I want to tell you this, and I want to make it clear to Kenyans. Let us not pretend that these big shots who have built on public land did not know that it was public land. What they did is this. They went to corrupt land officials, they went to corrupt government officials and colluded and got titles in a way that they understand and knew at the time to be wrong, okay, and illegal. And so they can now not waive those pieces of title and say, you know, we had the permissions to build. There is a process by which a title is given. If you go through the process, you will find that someone cut a corner at some point and allocated riparian reserves. They gave away land which was supposed to be for playgrounds, beaches. They gave away land that was supposed to be for green parks and for recruitment parks and so on. And this is the land on which private developers have now built, and they are claiming that they have title on, for which they do not want demolished. This is what we need to say very quickly. The process of getting the title is as good as the title itself. If the process is wrong, if the process is illegal, if it is fraudulent, then the end result is actually illegal. And so where, in actual fact, someone has used improper process, fraudulent process, and obtained a title on which they have now built, those ones cannot be entertained. But I want to give hope to those who got the titles correctly, because this is the law. If you get your title properly, and someone down the line begins to claim that, you know, your land sits on a riparian reserve or something else, you come to the relevant authorities and show that this is how I got this title. And the law says everyone who has gotten title properly, without using other means like corruption and so on, can sue the government of the Republic of Kenya and get compensation. So let us not make noise. Let us not make noise here. Any person who has not been compensated, including the UK, they know that the process by which they obtained those titles is probably wrong.
All right, so on that same level, let me bring in Bichachi. Bichachi, we've talked, Mamboleo has very well put in line the agencies that are involved, the National Land Commission, NEMA, etc. Shouldn't the president be not working to prosecute the individuals behind it? Because tomorrow, 10 years from now, we will still be having this conversation of demolitions happening in Nairobi if we do not fix the core problem right here, which is obtaining those letters. And they come from NEMA and the other agencies like the National Land Commission.
When we used to watch Vioja Mahakamani many years ago, the judge used to say, iwe na ili iwe funzo kwa wengine wenye tabia kama hii, and then would pass a harsh sentence. The president in turn promised us that if his own brother was caught in corruption, that his brother should face the full force of the law. The president then went ahead to tell us on national TV that